Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Boruto chapter 67 review. Alright guys, this chapter right here was everything that we wanted to see when the spoilers originally came out, and was even a little bit more stuff that was added towards the end of the chapter. But the biggest thing from this chapter is going to be the fact that Boruto is now alive. Coming off of the heels of the last chapter, we understood that Kawaki put an enormous hole through Boruto's chest. Boruto from then on was classified as dead, but in this chapter, Momoshiki Otsutsuki actually awakened Boruto and prevented him from dying. Now, I gave you guys the explanation and run through in my spoiler review, but I will actually give you guys a smaller explanation upon how Momoshiki actually got Boruto to be revived. Now, Momoshiki explained it like this: 82% of the karma seal had already been decompressed. If the karma seal hypothetically was 100% decompressed, Momoshiki would then be able to take over Boruto's body. But since Boruto is about to die at only 82%, Momoshiki would have died if Momoshiki didn't actually revive Boruto right then and there. Now, with the 18% that was left, Momoshiki decided to actually use that 18% of the karma seal and fully decompress it to actually revive Boruto. The original use of that 18% of the karma seal was supposed to come from Momoshiki's own data, but because the karma seal wasn't necessarily fully finished, Momoshiki had to heal Boruto with the karma seal using Boruto's own data. So right now, Boruto is about 82% Momoshiki Otsutsuki and about 18% Boruto. And also, Momoshiki added as well, Boruto is right now a full pure Otsutsuki member. 100% of the karma seal has already been decompressed. The only difference is 100% of Momoshiki's DNA was not compressed, but because 100% of the karma seal was decompressed, that makes Boruto right now 100% Otsutsuki, which is an absolutely insane change of events. Again, this right here essentially means that Momoshiki can no longer actually take over Boruto's body, which essentially means that Boruto is kind of free. Now, this right here entails a lot of things. I think one of the biggest questions is probably going to be, is Momoshiki going to be in the series any longer? Because this right here is essentially like one of the end of the roads for Momoshiki. I think that Momoshiki is going to be in the series for a very long time. I think the first thing we have to understand, it's 100% still possible that Momoshiki has the ability to take over Boruto's body. Remind you guys, Momoshiki was at 80% when he first took over Boruto's body. Right now, Boruto is still at 82% of Momoshiki Otsutsuki. Momoshiki Otsutsuki's influence didn't necessarily go down because of the event of actually reviving Boruto. No, he still stayed the same. If you guys recall, a couple chapters ago, whenever Boruto goes into a super huge fight, or whenever Boruto is completely depleted of chakra, it's 1000% possible for Momoshiki to then take over Boruto's body right then and there. Now, how long is that going to be? Can Momoshiki sustain having Boruto being completely suppressed? I don't necessarily think so, because we've seen Boruto take back over multiple times already. But regardless, I think that Momoshiki is still going to have the propensity to do something like that because he has the ability to. Momoshiki is just not going to sit down and be lazy for about another 80 years until Boruto dies or something like that. I think that Momoshiki is definitely going to be a very, very big part of the series. Not only that, a lot of people are going to be worried about Momoshiki and Boruto actually becoming friends. To be honest, I think it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable at this particular point. I can't necessarily see Momoshiki being a very big part of Boruto's life and Boruto not being able to actually talk no jutsu Momoshiki. That's just not in the nature of the whole entire series. A lot of people aren't necessarily going to like that too much. I understand where they're coming from, mainly because it mimics the Karma and Naruto dynamic so much. But here's the thing. Momoshiki comes with a wealth of information. Momoshiki Otsutsuki is an Otsutsuki member, a thorough Otsutsuki member, an Otsutsuki member that had rank. He was actually placed above Isshiki. For example, Isshiki was calling Momoshiki like sensei or something like that. And Momoshiki's intel could be valuable to the Hidden Leaf in multiple ways. I think one of the first things that we could possibly think of is Amado. Amado up until this time has essentially been the speaker for the Otsutsuki clan. He's essentially given us all the information that we do know, a lot of the critical information that did actually lead to some good things happening in the Hidden Leaf Village, but still we do understand that Amado isn't necessarily the most trustworthy character. Hypothetically, in the future, if Momoshiki can actually call Amado on some of his BS, maybe we can get some clarity upon specifically which side Amado is actually on. Is Amado's interest truly for the Hidden Leaf Village, or does Amado have some sort of ulterior motives and he wasn't necessarily being 100% truthful to not only Naruto but to everybody that was asking him questions in the Hidden Leaf Village? Not only that, we've talked about toneri Otsutsuki for a very long time. Remind you guys, Momoshiki's underling, Isshiki Otsutsuki, is the person who actually put toneri in that sailing jutsu. I think that there is a very high possibility that Momoshiki has the ability and the knowledge to actually unseal toneri Otsutsuki. If that's the case, toneri Otsutsuki would be a huge help to the Hidden Leaf Village and also the shinobis in general. Not only that, it's also possible that Momoshiki can potentially even train Boruto and give him knowledge about the jougan. This right here is absolutely insane. One of the things that was made absolutely clear to us in the fight versus Code is that Boruto, when he is utilizing the full power of the Karma Seal, isn't necessarily as strong as Borushiki. Code essentially made it very clear. When Momoshiki took over Boruto's body, he essentially said that this Boruto was a completely different Boruto. And I personally believe with the help of Momoshiki, Boruto can actually even surpass fully fused Momoshiki in the future. I think this right here could definitely be a very good pairing for both Boruto and Momoshiki. Not only that, we do have to talk about some other things about this chapter. By the way, big shout out to my guy Momoshiki. But another big thing that we definitely do have to talk about has to be the Kawaki and Code dynamic of this episode. Kawaki absolutely obliterated Code. It wasn't necessarily a contest either. I thought once the chapter came out, maybe we can kind of see, hey, Code do a little something. I did see Code kind of block Kawaki once in this episode, but legitimately 95% of this fight was all just Kawaki. It was all just Kawaki, and I honestly do believe that right now Kawaki may actually be the strongest character in the Hidden Leaf Village as of right now. I think the only two characters I would possibly say might be stronger than Kawaki is probably going to be Damon and Ida. To be honest, I have to see them fight a proper battle, but as of right now, Kawaki is at the top of the top in the Hidden Leaf Village, which is something crazy. Like, imagine us saying that 4 or 5 months ago, the Kawaki that didn't have a Karma Seal, the Kawaki that we were comparing to Sarada. Like, this is crazy. Now, one thing that was really confusing about this chapter was Code. Code had absolutely no idea of Kawaki's power. Coming into the battle, he legitimately thought that he'd possibly be able to beat Kawaki, and this right here tells me that Code isn't necessarily the best when it comes to power perception. His perception of just overall power doesn't necessarily seem like it's the best thing. And here's what I'm talking about. Borushiki essentially was actually boxing with Kawaki. Remind you guys, earlier, Borushiki was absolutely destroying Code as well. Borushiki looked like he was matched evenly with Kawaki. Me personally, I could have seen clearly that Kawaki was going to be stronger than Code. I'm pretty sure you guys could have also seen clearly that Kawaki was most likely going to be stronger than Code. Not only that, but also because of the fact that Kawaki has a stronger version of the Karma Seal that Code already has. It just didn't necessarily make that much sense for Code to go into the battle to start with, and didn't necessarily make much sense for Kawaki to think that he's actually stronger than Kawaki. Now, if you guys don't necessarily recall, a couple of chapters ago, Amado did actually tell everybody that, hey, Code isn't necessarily the smartest guy, and I think this right here might be the first sign that really separates Code from a character like Sasuke or Code from a character like Shikamaru, characters who can actually accurately tell their opponent's power after actually watching them fight already. Code just could not do that. Now, the conclusion of this battle was Kawaki getting absolutely obliterated, and here's why. Towards the end, Kawaki was essentially loading up this absolutely huge blast, same thing that he did with Garo, and then Code took Damon completely from a different dimension and used his body as a human shield. Now, some of you guys kind of forgot a little bit, but Damon's actual core ability is he's able to reflect absolutely anything. Originally started as he's able to reflect killer intent. Now, we kind of thought that Damon's really only able to reflect things that he could possibly see coming, but now here's another development. Code took Damon from the other dimension while Damon was literally sleeping, woke up, didn't know what was going on after he reflected possibly continent busting, probably even like partial planet busting attack that Kawaki was actually doing against Code. So it's like, we understand now. This man Damon's abilities are absolutely broken. The biggest question for Damon is going to be, what is Damon's drawback? We understand that he is absolutely overpowered, but Itachi told us back in the day, every jutsu has a weakness. Kawaki even told us when it came to scientific technology, every technology also has a weakness. I personally believe if Damon does have a weakness, it would potentially be a time interval or an overheating mechanic. Not only that, I definitely did want to kind of touch on the political ramifications of this as well. I think I'm going to dive a lot deeper into this in another video or so, but the political ramifications of Naruto was actually hinted towards in this particular episode right here. Specifically, this right here was actually going on though when Boruto was still kind of dead. Well, quote unquote dead. He wasn't fully dead, but he was still perceived to be dead. Shikamaru was telling Naruto that the political ramifications for Kawaki wouldn't necessarily be that good, and they were essentially trying to figure out exactly what they should do with Kawaki. This right here may be the first sign that Kawaki may actually turn evil, to be honest. Shikamaru wasn't necessarily mad about Kawaki actually doing what he did. He said in the actual chapter that, hey, it was probably going to be necessary sooner or later, but he was surprised at how nonchalant Kawaki did it. He was surprised about how ruthless Kawaki was while doing it. And he said something that I personally agree with as well. Kawaki will do anything to actually complete the goal that he set out to complete. And I personally do believe that right there could potentially be the downfall of a character like Kawaki. But regardless, this chapter right here was absolutely insane. I couldn't necessarily cover everything in this specific video right here, so look out for me uploading more videos specifically about chapter 67 of the Boruto manga. But it's me, your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.